the Arizona desert, where the sun falls with relentless intensity and the earth cracks from the heat, in 1998, an event occurred that remains one of the most mysterious and horrifying deaths in American criminology. It was a death that occurred without fire, despite the fact that the victim was almost completely burned. It was a death that remains medically impossible. The victim was a man named Jack Davis, a 58-year-old accountant from Phoenix. Jack was a widower, lived alone in a small house in the suburbs of Phoenix, and had a habit of taking long walks in the desert on weekends. This was his main entertainment, to rush into the desert with a backpack, map, and bottle of water, and spend the entire day alone among cacti and rock formations. On Saturday, July 4th, 1998, Jack set out on one of his usual walks. His neighbor saw him drive away from the house around 7 a.m. with his backpack and map. No one saw him after that. When he didn't return by Sunday evening, his boss called the police. A search operation was launched. Search and rescue teams went into the desert with dogs and equipment. They searched for him all night and all the next morning. They found him on Monday at noon, approximately 5 kilometers from where his car was parked. He was lying on the ground next to a large boulder, or rather, what was left of him was lying on the ground. His body was almost completely burned. His skin was almost completely charred, blackened and brittle. His clothing was completely burned. His hair was completely burned. His body was curved in a boxing position, a posture that corpses assume when exposed to extreme heat, when tendons contract and bend the limbs. But here was the problem. There were no signs of fire in the surrounding area. The ground around his body was cold, not warm, not slightly burned, but cold. The rock next to which he lay was not black with soot, was not damaged by heat. The cacti bushes nearby were undamaged, not burned. The desert around him was completely untouched, as if there had never been a fire in this area. The Phoenix medical examiner, Dr. David Carter, was puzzled. How could a person be almost completely burned while everything around him remained cold and undamaged? It didn't make sense. Fire spreads. Fire consumes fuel around it. Fire does not burn a person and nothing else. Even more puzzling was the clothing. If the body had been subjected to such intense heat, his clothing should have been completely burned. And it was. But his backpack, which was lying next to his body, was mostly undamaged. His jacket, which was in the backpack, was slightly burned but recognizable. His map was burned but still readable. It was as if the fire had been selective, devouring only his body, but nothing else. The police conducted an investigation. They suspected murder. Maybe someone brought him here and burned him? But why wasn't the entire surrounding area damaged? Why wasn't his backpack burned? Why were there no signs of another person, no tire tracks from other cars, no fingerprints or DNA from other people? They suspected it was an accident involving some dangerous material. Maybe his backpack contained explosives or chemicals. But tests showed there was nothing dangerous in the backpack, just food, water, map, compass, flashlight. They suspected suicide. Maybe he poured some flammable material on himself and set it on fire. But where was the container? Where was the source of fire? His lighter, which should have been in his pockets, was not found. His matches, which he usually carried, were not found. The case was closed as cause of death unknown. But unofficially, the doctors and investigators who worked on it talked among themselves. One medical examiner from California, who was invited for consultation, suggested the phenomenon of spontaneous human combustion. a legendary process by which a human body supposedly can suddenly catch fire from an internal chemical reaction. But this was pure speculation, and there is no scientific proof that this is possible. After Jack's death, his house was purchased by another buyer. But the new owner noticed that something was not quite right with the house. The bedroom where Jack slept was always warm, despite the air conditioner. His bed created hot spots where it was uncomfortable to sleep. The other rooms in the house were pleasantly cool, but his bedroom was always hot. The new owner asked an electrician to check the wiring. The wiring was normal. He asked an HVAC specialist to check the system. The system was normal. After 2 years of living in the house, the new owner sold it. The house changed hands several times, each new owner complaining about the same problem, an inexplicably hot bedroom, and each leaving within a year or two. Today, the house is on the market, and no one wants to buy it. Real estate agents say the house has problems, but they don't know how to describe them. They say that potential buyers